That is me, Calvin, and this is a working elevator platform that I designed in the last month to bring movement to my mega builds in a creative and epic way. This is inspired by the elevators that you can find in Elden Ring, which not only have the functionality of traveling between different areas, but also they serve to show you a beautiful preview of it. Since I saw them, I knew I wanted to do something like that for my worlds in Minecraft, and after a few attempts I managed to do something that works and feels amazing, and that it's also not extremely complicated. So today I'm here to show you how you can do the same and hopefully inspire you to build more stuff like this. A quick disclaimer here, this is not a redstone contraption, it makes use mostly of command blocks, structure blocks and display entities to achieve the effect. It works for survival, but it requires you to be creative to design it. So to begin with, let me show you the main concept of how this works while we do the elevator for the entrance of this underground city that I've been working on. So first, let's work on the way up, and then I'll show you how to do the way down. The first thing we need to do is to create a display entity. So for that, using Axiom it's very easy because you just can go here and grab any block that you like. In my case, I'm gonna be grabbing this staff block, and we're going to place it where we want our platform. Just for the sake of this example, we're gonna make it 3 blocks wide. Then I will show you how to make these things more complicated so they have a better pattern, but you don't really need that, you can just use a simple entity like this one. So this display entity is going to be used as the visual representation of our elevator, because if you stand on it, you can see that it doesn't have a hitbox for you to stand on. For the actual elevator, we are going to summon an armor stand using this command, where we will give a name to the armor stand, in my case elevator 2. And that's very important. That's our armor stand. And now, everything we are going to do for the elevator will be done to this armor stand. So that's why it's important that you choose a proper name for it. First, we are going to grab a command block. To do so, you can do /give your username Minecraft command block. Then right click on the small box of the display entity and find the last option called copy transform command. Click there, then right click on the command block and paste that long command with Ctrl V. If we take a look at this, we can find that it says data merge entity, and we have this long set of characters. We can get rid of everything except for that. This is the name of our display entity. So we are just going to copy this. Now that we got the name of the entity, we are going to teleport it to the armor stand. For that, we are going to set up this command. TP, the name of the display entity we just found, to all the entities of type equal armor stand, name equals elevator 2, or the name you chose for your armor stand, and finally limit equal 1. So now when we trigger this with the redstone block, you can see that this got teleported automatically to the armor stand. What we're gonna do with this is a command that we're going to be set to the mode repeat. So constantly the display entity now is tied to the armor stand. We're going to give levitation to this. So now you can see that when we give the levitation to the armor stand, the display entity moves as well. And we do that because if we try to give levitation to the display entity, you will see that it doesn't work. You can't apply effects to display entities. Up next, we gotta do the actual detection and movement of the player, so we can move along with the platform. So for that, we will use an execute command. Execute if there's an entity of type player at certain coordinates, for which we need to grab the position of the center of the platform. And here we can change the dx, dy and dz, where you can think of this as a range of detection from the center. And at the end we run the command that we want. In our case, since we want more than one command, I will start another line of command blocks here, and we are going to grab the coordinates of this position. Looking at the block, we are going to do set block, tab 3 times to get the position of that, and here we want to place redstone block. We copy this command, and this is what we place here after run. We need to make sure to get rid of the slash, There we go. So now, while this is active, the moment I stand on the center, you will see how the lapis block is changed to redstone, meaning that command would be activated. And what do we want to trigger? Well, we want to trigger the levitation effect, let's give it for 7 seconds, to the platform. And we want to do the same, but instead of the platform, we want to do it to the player for the same amount. So what we need to do, we need to get this one like that, and this one on chain. So we are going to move along with the platform. And it didn't work. Nice. And we take a look what happened. This. Make sure that the second one is set to always active. So now when we step on the platform, it's going to trigger both. You can see we move along with the platform and we move at the same rate because we have the same levitation. If you want it to go faster, you can increase the amplifier. You can see how that works. Alright, so now I'm gonna move everything down and organize it here in a hidden spot. And something that I like doing and I recommend you do is to set up signs next to this that say what is inside of this. So basically this is display entity to armor stand. So the next step is to test when the platform is at the top. So we are going to grab the position of the center block where we want it to stop, which is right there. So let's grab that. We are going to come here and we are going to create another set of commands. Very similar to the one that we made to test for the player. So we are gonna bring this here. We're gonna change these coordinates, which is going to be changed to 178. This time we are not gonna test for the player, we are going to test for the armor stand in that position. Once it detects it's there, it's going to run a set of other commands. So this needs to be set to repeat here. The next command is going to be to reset the previous one. So we're gonna be here and we're gonna set this one to stone and bring it here. Conditional, so it works when only when this is true. Once it's final that, it's going to do a effect clear from at E type equal armor stand name equal elevator 2 limit equal 1. We're gonna do that and then we do the same effect clear to the player. Once it detects that we are at the bottom, we need to begin testing for this. So we're gonna add that to the end of the triggering commands right over here. Basically, this is going here to start testing for this. I only want this to happen after the player was found at the bottom of the platform. Going to stop in 3, 2, 1, boing. There we go. See, we reach there and we fall down. Of course, we don't want that to happen. We don't want to fall down, but at least we know it's working. So what we need to do now, we need to TP that repeatedly to the position at the top. The position that we set here, this one. We want to hold the platform at the top, basically, after it's there. So this should stay there. There we go. Now that we got the platform at the top, we need to actually bring the blocks in so that we can stand on them. In this case, because this is a simple platform, we could do this with a fill command. So we can set a fill command from here to there, chiseled bricks. That's what we want to happen. We want to set these 3 to that. So after it finds us at the top, we want to set that command. Then of course, after it gives levitation to our player, we want to get rid of the platform at the bottom. So this needs to be filled in with air. So we bring that here. And there we go. So now when we get to the top, this gets filled in and we will be able to stand on it. That's basically all you need for the basic concept. Then we need a bunch of particles and cooldowns and sound effects to sell the idea and of course work on the way down as well. But before that, I want to show you how to get a more complex design for the platform so that you can make it look as fancy as you want. The first thing we will need to make a cool platform is a design. The shape for it can be anything, but making it circular has a key advantage that I will show you later on. Now, to make the design, I like to use the symmetry tool from Axiom. Place a point in the center and start making a cool pattern. Something like that. Now, we are going to select this quickly using the magic select and copy it with Ctrl+C. Once we have the platform on the clipboard, we need to export this as an schematic. Because this is on the 1.21.4 version of Minecraft, and we need an older version to make this work. So I'm going to close this and open the version 1.21 with Axiom, because this is the last version of the mod where the feature that we need was implemented. So to do this bit, sadly, we need to bring it here, which is fine, it's something really quick. We basically need to go up here and import the schematic of the platform we just created. Make sure to copy it so that it is on your clipboard, and now we go to File, Save Clipboard as JSON Model. This is the feature that we need. Click there and save that file somewhere. Now we can close this and go back to the version where we were building. What we need to do is to go to Options, Resource Pack, and I will put in the description below a link to a resource pack very similar to this one. What we are gonna do is we are going to open the pack folder. So here on the pack folder, on the resource pack, we need to go to Assets, Minecraft, and we have Items, Models, and Texture. If you go to Models, Custom, we can see that here I have the custom builds for the other things, like the platform, a test, and a statue that I'm using this method for. So, here is where we need to bring in the platform that we just turned into a JSON model. This, with all this code, has all the information for the entity. Then if we go to Item, here you can choose what item you want to override, basically. You are not gonna lose the item. In my case I choose Enrod, but you can choose any other item. When you open this, you will find something like this, where you can add all the custom models that you want over here. So when you want to add another one, you have to do two things. First, copy the last line, the last two lines, the overrides and this one. Copy that, add a comma there, go below and paste it. And here you need to change two things. First, the number of the custom model data, and here under custom we need to add the name that we chose for our platform, in our case platform 2. And that's all for this. So we can close that, save it, go back, and under items, Enrod, we need to do the same right at the bottom. Basically copy all of these lines, place a comma here on the last one. Here we put the threshold to 4, which is the same custom data from the previous one, and under custom change it to the name of our model, in our case platform 2. And that's it. Those are the three things you need to do. Let's go over again quickly. Go to Assets, Minecraft, Models, Custom, here you place the build that you turned into a JSON file. Then you go to Item, and the Enrod you add the line with the custom name and make sure to change this number. And then under items, under the same name of your thing, you go and add these lines at the bottom with a change. Okay, so here I made a mistake. You need two of these down here before the fallback. If not, it's not gonna work like that. Make sure that after the last one, it ends right like this. And we're gonna save it. That's all you need to do to update this pack. So now if we go back into Minecraft, we can bring the pack over here. Click on Done. If you go to Create Display Entities, Item, you can find this option over here that says Filter Custom Model Data. If we tick that option, we can find all the different ones we loaded into the pack. Between them, the platform 2, which is the one that we need for this elevator. So now we get this build as an entity that we can scale up to match what we need. So that's the way to get this entity there. So now what we would need to do is the entity that we had before, we can get rid of it. We can kill that entity. And instead we are going to bring this one. We are going to right click on this, copy the transform command where we can find the name of our entity. So we get rid of everything else and copy the name of our entity. So we go down here to teleport the entity to the armor stand. Here we replace the name of the previous entity with a new one. Of course, if you've done this from the start, that's not a problem. But now we get the entity placed right where we need it. If you need help with how to move and manipulate these entities, I recommend you watch this other tutorial about them. To align it perfectly at the bottom, we can add another command block that constantly teleports the armor stand to the position that we need, which is half a block below where it is right now. This will also hold it in that position all the time. So now it all lines up perfectly at the base, which is what we want. So the next step is to save the solid platform as a structure using the structure blocks so that we can bring it in and out here and at the top whenever we stand here. To get that block, you can use the command /give your username structure block. We are gonna need that and also the structure void. The first thing is to grab a corner of the build and place the structure block there. Right click on the block, change this to save, and put the name platform 2 or any name that you want. And we choose a size for our structure. It's not big enough, so we need to make it bigger and we need to bring it 2 blocks down. So let's do this and let's double the size. Only 1, sorry, not 2, only 1. There we go. So now we have the entire structure inside the bounding box. Now what we need to do before saving this is to place the structure voids all around here, filling in the corners. If you place show invisible blocks, it's gonna make your life way easier while placing this. Now that we have this filled in, we can come to the structure block and hit here on the big save. So now we got the structure saved as platform 2 and we can get rid of this. So now whenever we place a structure block like this and we change the mode to load and place a name, if we hit on load once, it's going to load the bounding box of the structure we just created, and if we hit it again, it's going to bring it in. But of course, the key part of this is that we can trigger it automatically with redstone to load the structure in. And where do we need to place these structure blocks? Well, we want them in 2 places. The first place is right here where we have the base of this. So you need to find a place in your build where you can hide this. In my case, I will place them here in the corners behind these pillars. So we load it in and adjust the bounding box to be exactly where we need it. So with this one we are loading in the structure, the platform. And now we need another one to get rid of the structure whenever the platform starts moving out. For that, we are basically going to do the same and save a structure of the same size but empty inside. So now, over here, it should look something like that if you're doing the same thingy. And I'm gonna call this plat2 void. By clicking here, we can save the platform void. Then if you want, you can just get rid of this. And in load mode, we do platform 2 void. And we load it, and you can see that now this one, because they can't be on the same place, they are gonna have a difference, like the platform is gonna be here and the void is gonna be down. So we need to adjust the relative position and increase it so that they are both at the same spot. So now if we trigger this, you can see the structure is now no longer here, we just have the entity, while if we trigger this one, the structure comes back in and we can walk on it. And then all we need is to do the same thing at the top for when we reach that level. If you have Axiom, you can look at the block and copy them with Ctrl+C. That's gonna save them with the same state that they are in, so you don't have to type anything in. If not, it's not super complicated. So all we need to do now is show bounding box off in all of them, so we don't see the weird lines. The rest of this is very simple, we just need to time everything together. And what do I mean by that? We need to make sure that when these commands detect our player in the center, this, prior to giving us levitation, this needs to destroy the platform at the bottom. We were doing this with the fill, now the fill is not gonna work anymore. So what we need to do instead is we need to grab here and make sure that we trigger this command block, the structure break. So we need to find the redstone block right there. We copy that and we bring it here. And then we need to do something similar. Once it detects the platform at the top, we need to trigger the structure block there. So we grab the coordinates of the structure block at the top and place that here. And there we go. Let's test it. So the platform is in here, and when we stand there, we go up, but the platform didn't. What happened? We have the TP platform to bottom. We need to make sure that once it detects our player here, this is no longer active. So we need to come here and change this to stone. There we go. So now if we try this, it should be working. Okay, we're going. Let's see if we get to the top. There we go. Okay, so it works, but as you can see, we fall down. That's a matter of the timings, but at least the platform stopped, the entity is here, and the structure is loaded in. To make sure that we don't fall, what I like to do here, we are going to add another command here, something that triggers once, that is going to TP the player wherever it is standing to positions up. So let's do one more test to see if now it works. There we go. So that's the way up and it's working wonderfully. Now we just need to do the same with the minor adjustments to go all the way down and add all the sounds. So I'm gonna do the same process, revert it, and I will show you the result. Alright, so the elevator is finally complete. We might need a few adjustments, but most of it's working. You can see the particles, the sounds, and we have the way down fully completed. Not only that, but we also added a way to detect when the player is far from here, so they can actually fall down and the platform keeps coming down. There we go, we have a cooldown and the thing is activated again, so we can go up. So now let me show you how the system works for the way down and how we connect both things. If you want to see like the full detail on this, not only I will put a download of all these, but also we did a live stream to finish this segment and do the way down. I will put a link to that, so if you want to take a look at that, you can also do it. But the way this works. So we have the way up over here, this is what we shown before, and the way down works on a similar way. First we have a command that tests for the players standing on the platform at the top. Right now this is not working, that's why it has a stone. We are not testing for anything because the platform is at the bottom. So when this triggers, it makes a sound, it creates some particles, and it does something else. We'll get to see what that is. And also it stops testing for the player at the top. So basically it stops this one. When that triggers, the first thing is it resets this. So it turns this to stone. That's very important for each one of these, so we can make it repeatable. And then the way down is done very similar to the way up. We give the player slow falling. This is the equivalent as for the way up, we do the levitation. For the way down, we do slow falling. But the thing with slow falling is that even if you increase the amplifier, the slow falling effect, it remains the same. You don't fall slower by increasing the amplifier of the slow falling. From my point of view, that's not slow enough. I wanted the slow falling to feel slower. So to achieve that, what we are doing is we are lowering the gravity of the player. And to do that, you need to use this command that is called attribute the player, the Minecraft gravity attribute. We set the base to this number, 0.0035. As far as I understand, this is the minimum value that the gravity can be set to. You can change this to anything that you want, but in my case, I'm setting the gravity to this value. And that is the slowest falling rate that we can get, combining the slow falling with the slow gravity. Then we have a command here that says go slow falling elevator. Right now I don't remember why I separated this, but basically we are just coming up here to trigger the same on the elevator. We do slow falling on the elevator and we do lower the gravity of the elevator. All of this applied to the armor stand, just the same way as we did the levitation. And then we do all the other triggers. We break the platform at the top. That is done with the void structure block that we place at the top. Then we reset the load platform at the bottom. We reset that one so that we can trigger it again when we are on the way up. And we stop holding the platform at the top. Basically, we come here and turn this one to stone, because this is the one that keeps all the time teleporting the armor stand at the position at the top so it doesn't fall down. So we need to not do that if we want the platform to begin falling down. And finally we have a TP player down a bit. Basically we just teleport the player half a block down to align it properly with the platform so it looks like you are actually standing on it. This could be actually a bit lower even, but it's fine. Then after giving the slow falling to the elevator and triggering all these, we have the go test platform at bottom. Basically this triggers this and it begins to test for when the armor stand is again back here to trigger all the sequence that needs to happen when the platform is below. And what needs to happen is we reset this, we stop all the sounds of the player, we clear the effect of the elevator, basically we clear the slow falling on the armor stand, we bring the gravity back to normal. The normal value of the gravity is 0.08 in Minecraft, so this is the value that you need to place there. And then we fill the platform at the bottom, triggering that command, that structure block. And here, this is an important part, we go and set a cooldown before we test for the player at the bottom, because the player can stop there, and if we don't have a cooldown, the moment the player reaches the bottom, it might automatically trigger again and go back up. We don't want that to happen, so we need to have a cooldown. And the way that we are doing the cooldown is very simple. We are basically setting a redstone block over here, and you can see the cooldown is a bunch of repeaters. This is not the most efficient or the most lag friendly. You could do this with some command blocks, but in my case, since I just need something simple, I just set this way and it works for my case. After the cooldown goes by, we reset this so the cooldown clock can be used again, and then we effectively go and test for the player at the center bottom. So when we are standing right there again, basically we start triggering this one again, which is the one that is active right now because the platform is there at the bottom. And the rest of this is and particles. This is sounds and particles to symbolize when the cooldown is ready. And then of course we have another cooldown before test platform at the top. This works over here. We have the same way, the same thing, and this is how we connect both. With these cooldowns are the way that we connect both ways. And that's basically it. Then after the cooldown we have all play sounds, particles, clear effect for, okay, well, we also have to clear the effect from the player clearly. We need to clear the slow falling and we need to bring back the gravity to normal. That is very important. The only thing that I didn't mention is this. This is a new sequence that we need to add. What this does is when it finds the player at the top or when it finds it at the bottom, we have the same sequence in both places. It triggers this, it plays all the sounds, and we have this that says go test player far way down. This is going to place a redstone block over here and begins testing for the player far on the way down. This might be the most complex command that we have here. Basically we have an execute command at the entity of type armor stand of name elevator 2, that is the armor stand that we have on the center of the platform at all times. If there's an entity of type player at a distance of 12, the 2 points means greater, so we are testing for when there's a player at a larger distance than 12 blocks from the armor stand. If that happens, we clear the effect from the player, so that will look like the player falls down from the platform. Then of course, in this one, since it's a slow falling one, we need to also bring the gravity back to normal and reset this so that it's going to be available to work next time when we repeat the sequence. And the same, a bit more simple, is done on the way up So that comes over here where we have test player far from the platform when we are on the way up, and it's basically the same. It executes, it's the same command, and in this time we run the effect clear levitation. So we clear levitation when you are far from the platform. And then that's all that we need in this one, so we just reset this so it can be triggered again. That's all you need, because in this one you don't need to play with the gravity. If you remember, at the beginning I told you that there was an advantage of using circular platforms in this design, and that is the main advantage, because this detection command that detects the player at a distance from an armor stand works on a sphere, so it lines up perfectly with the edge of the platform. But if you have, for instance, a square platform, you run the risk that that command won't work for you. A circular platform allows you to have that simple command, very compact, to detect when the player is away. As you can see, this is not simple, but it's also not super complicated, I would say. For the effect that we achieve when going up and down, this is very simple. Now we need to do two more things. The armor stand, we don't want it to be visible, so I have this command pre-saved to make the armor stand invisible. This we just need to run it once, so I'm placing it there. The name of our armor stand is elevator 2, data, modify entity, type armor stand, name elevator 2, limit 1, invisible, set value 1b. We place this, boing. So as you can see now, the armor stand, we can't see it anymore, and this looks like a proper platform. Now let me show you a full run of this so we can see how it works. You can hear all the sounds, and then I will show you the sounds that I used and the particles. So what we have here is a sound effect and a particle the moment we step on the center, a sound when we go up, and a constant ambient sound that plays while the elevator goes up, so it looks like there's some system of chains or something actually pulling the platform up. Just to show you, as you can see, if I step over the edge, I fall down and the platform keeps going. It stops, it makes another sound, and when the cooldown is ready, we have another sound effect and particles over there. That represents that I can now stand here and we are going to begin going down. So let's do that. And then we have the same on the way down. Particles, sound effects, an ambient sound on the way down. Let me show you. The main sounds and particles I'm using is, for when I stand on the platform, we have this sound step, and I'm using the command execute at player, so it doesn't matter where you are, it's going to play. Run play sound, block anvil fall as a category master. We play to the player on its coordinates, and here we change the pitch, we change the volume and the pitch. By changing the pitch and reducing it, we get a different sound, which is this one. That is the sound that I'm playing for the stepping on the platform. Then we get particles. This one is very similar. We execute at player, run particle, dust plume. This is the one that you are seeing when I step there. That's the one. There's a small cooldown, so when the platform actually begins going up, and we have another sound effect. In this case, the sound effect that I'm using, in the same way, is item armor equip chain. And what this does is this sound. And finally, we have the sound for the motion. While the elevator is going up, we are playing the sound Minecraft ambient basal deltas loop. And again, we are changing the pitch ever so slightly and the volume. And this is the sound that plays when that happens. And honestly, that's basically it. And that's how this works. It's not perfect, but it's very, very fun to use. I love using this. And it really adds that extra thing to the build that makes it feel more alive, more playable, and way more interesting. I hope this inspires you to try different things with command blocks and fancy stuff, because this is really, really powerful. Really, really, really powerful. And thanks to Axiom, it's not super complicated to do this type of things with display entities. So if you have ideas on what else could be done to add movement to the builds and stuff like that, that would be great. And we'll see if we can apply them. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I know it's difficult, I know it's not the classic thing, but you can see how nice it feels to use this over and over again. And if you are entering an epic area, like in this case my Dwarven city, which I've been doing some work on, as you can see, through the windows, while you come down here. We will be showing this on a video soon and finish this city, but it's a great way to really bring that extra element to these epic creative builds. As always, I hope you enjoy this, I hope you learned something new, I hope you got inspired by this. All the commands and all the downloads and useful things that you might need to get this to work are going to be in the description so that you can follow this along. And of course, I'm sure this is probably not the most efficient way of doing this. Please let me know if there's a way to make this better or more efficient. I would really love to learn. That is also why I'm doing this video and showing this. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. This has been Calven and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.